This is Damon Coghill Behrends on the news with Mrs. Fletcher, Eric Fletcher's mom. I was wondering, how does caffeine affect kids' bodies?
Sure. Caffeine is what we call a stimulant. And a stimulant is something that causes changes in our body to make our body go faster. So, do you know how if you're thinking about something and you get kind of excited, there are chemicals going on, hormones that your body releases, and that causes changes. And what happens is your heart rate goes up, you breathe faster, and this isn't something that you can necessarily feel, but something called your blood pressure goes up. And that happens naturally when we get excited. But there are some substances like caffeine, and caffeine is a drug, and when we take caffeine, it actually causes those changes in our body. And so for kids, this can be a problem because it makes your heart work harder than it needs to. It can increase your blood pressure, and it's just not something that we generally want to happen when you're young and you're growing. Now, some of those changes that I just talked about for adults, sometimes are things that adults want to happen, because caffeine also stimulates our brain a little bit. So if an adult is kind of tired, kind of sleepy, they might have a cup of coffee, and it kind of makes them feel a little bit more awake. That was a long answer.
Is it okay to drink caffeine every day?
Well, caffeine, they say that caffeine can become what we call addictive. So a substance that's addictive means that we need it all the time. So we can have different types of addictions. We can have an addiction in our mind where we think we need something, and we can also have an addiction physically with our body. And our bodies respond to drugs in both those ways. And so somebody who drinks caffeine, let's say I drink a cup of coffee every day, my body kind of gets used to that. And so I get some of those effects, so I might be a little bit alert, but also my body starts to get used to it, so then I might need it a little bit. Or if on a regular day when I wake up and I don't have the coffee, then I might feel a little bit grouchy, and people will say, oh, I need my caffeine. And so you'll hear adults say that sometimes. And so that's what can happen when you use it all the time. There's also something called tolerance, and that means that the amount that so if I have a cup of coffee and I always drink that cup of coffee, after a while it doesn't have the same effects on my body anymore. And so I might need 2 cups of coffee to get the same effect. And so when that happens, sometimes people can drink a lot of caffeine or a lot of coffee that contains caffeine, and that can be bad for their health because it can really make your heart rate beat faster, make your blood pressure higher, and people who have some health conditions, like if they have problems with their heart, that could be a bad thing.
How much caffeine is safe to drink?
Yes, that's a very good question. So caffeine is measured in milligrams, and I don't believe that there is any recommended level for kids. I think the guidelines are that kids shouldn't have caffeine. I think for adults, I think they say anything less than maybe, and I'd have to look this up to get the definite information, but I think it's anything less than 300 milligrams is okay. So that's actually a pretty high number. But I know you mentioned you were doing a project on Red Bull. Do you know how many milligrams of caffeine are in Red Bull?
So far that I've known is like 7.3.
7.3. That might be in a little bit different units than what I'm thinking of. I think so a cup of coffee can have anywhere between 50 and 100 milligrams. And so that means that people could have maybe up to 3 to 6 cups of coffee and be okay. So the challenge with Red Bull is that you get so much in one concentration that it kind of can be a little bit harder for kids to take. And you're also a lot smaller than me. So if I have a Red Bull and you have a Red Bull, my body's going to be able to handle that a little bit better than you being a lot smaller person. And that is our pizza delivery.
That's your Red Bull delivery.
Do you know what? To be perfectly honest, I have never tried Red Bull. And I think part of it is that I'm just a little bit nervous about it. It's promoted as being an energy drink, and I drink coffee. I probably have 2 cups of coffee in the morning, so my body does have caffeine, but it's something that it just doesn't appeal to me. And also the other thing about Red Bull is it's kind of expensive. And so when I think about things that I like to drink, I like to drink water, and I like to drink juice, and I like to drink, sometimes I'll have a pop, like a Diet Coke or something like that, that has caffeine in it, but I've never actually had Red Bull.
And using your time. And this concludes our news today. I am Damon Coghill Behrends, here with Levi Pugh, asking him what he thinks of caffeine in Red Bull.
I don't really think it's such a good idea to put so much caffeine in something, because it could keep people awake, which your body really needs to get rest, and lots of sugar and stuff, so it's not really good for your body.
This is Mike, my
Hello.
next door neighbor. What do you think of caffeine in Red Bull?
Well, I think sometimes it would be healthy because, like, if you're lazy in the morning, you get something to get you really started.
Well, the problem...
Okay, well, most people, I'm guessing, drink it in the summer, which is really bad because caffeine will make you all tired, and then it's really bad when it's hot.
We have a
Prince.
I think it's really bad for your body because it makes you stay up really late, and you don't want to stay up that
What do you
late.
think about Red Bull?
What do I think about Red Bull? I think I don't drink Red Bull. And the reason why I don't is because it's full of sugar and a lot of other stuff that isn't natural. So I like tea, which maybe you don't really like. And I really like to drink a lot of water because it's really healthy for you and it's good for your body.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Does Gary have anything to add about Red Bull?
Sure. Red Bull has a lot of chemicals in it called stimulants that can make you kind of feel funny, kind of make you nervous or jumpy or jittery, and sometimes you don't want to feel like that. So you don't drink that. But it tastes good. And if you need a lot of energy, sometimes some people drink it if they don't get enough sleep. But if you get enough sleep, you shouldn't need the stimulants to keep you awake.
Yeah.
And thank you.
You're welcome.